None. Lorraine Warren is at home, but something feels wrong. Her daughter points to someone standing in the hallway, a terrifying nun. Lorraine decides to follow her. She walks into a room and finds a painting of the nun. For a moment, everything seems normal, but then the tension comes back. She hears a loud sound coming from a record player. Scared, she goes over to turn it off. When she does, the lights flicker, and the sense of danger grows even stronger. Something isn't right. Suddenly, the painting starts shaking. A shadow appears behind her, taking the form of the demonic nun, Valak. Lorraine feels panic rise inside her. She runs, but doors and windows slam shut on their own, trapping her in the room. The nun is closer now, threatening. The atmosphere is suffocating. There's no way out. Lorraine sees shadows moving on their own, objects shifting, and she feels like every corner of the room is alive. Then Valak shows up directly. The nun screams, lunging at Lorraine, who falls back in terror. She suddenly finds herself somewhere else. A dark basement is surrounded by shadows and evil. Lorraine tries to fight back, but everything feels out of control. The scene ends in a nightmare. Lorraine sees her husband Ed being attacked. It's a moment of pure despair. When she wakes up from the trance, the terror is still pulsing inside her. Lorraine had no idea yet, but this demon was only just beginning to haunt her life. David's exorcism. Seeing the exorcism of an adult is scary enough, but imagine it happening to a child. In The Conjuring 3, David Glatzel, just 8 years old, is possessed by a terrible demonic force. His family is desperate, not knowing what to do. That's when they call on Ed and Lorraine Warren, along with Father Gordon, hoping to save the boy. David is laid down on a table while everyone around holds him down. His eyes roll back and his body doesn't seem to obey anymore. Pain and rage show in every movement. The priest begins the exorcism, reciting prayers to drive the demon out. The boy reacts violently. Guttural sounds come from his throat, unintelligible words that send chills through everyone present. He twists unnaturally, his muscles contorting grotesquely, leaving everyone in shock. As the ritual continues, the demon's presence grows stronger. The boy's voice changes more and more, becoming deep and threatening. It's impossible not to feel the terror of the moment. The family watches, anguished, unable to do anything but hold the boy down and pray. The most shocking moment comes when Arnie Johnson, David's sister's boyfriend, steps in. He begs the evil spirit to take him instead of David.
Leave him alone and take me!
It's a moment of pure tension. Arna's courage and desperation make the fear even greater. The scene is brutal and terrifying, not just because of the visuals, but because of the physical and psychological horror it shows. The audience feels the pain, the fear, and the helplessness of everyone there. The bedroom. Have you ever looked at your closet in the middle of the night and felt scared? My answer used to be no, but after this movie, that changed. Because that's exactly how one of the scariest scenes in The Conjuring begins. Andrea, one of the Perron daughters, wakes up to a strange noise. It's her little sister Cindy, sleepwalking, banging her head against the wardrobe doors. The sound is disturbing, repetitive, like she's trying to get inside, or like something inside is trying to get out. Andrea does what any older sister would do. She grabs Cindy by the arm, tries to wake her, and walks her back to bed. For a moment, the tension fades. The room feels calm again, but only for a moment. The wardrobe doors start shaking, at first slowly, but soon it's clear. Something's inside. The sound is heavy, frightening, like wood being forced from the inside. Andrea takes a deep breath and decides to open the doors. Inside, nothing, just clothes swaying, but the relief lasts only a few seconds. Cindy, terrified, points upward. Andrea lifts her eyes, and there it is. On top of the wardrobe, crouched, a horrifying figure watches them both. It's Bathsheba, the demonic witch who cursed the house. Her face radiates hatred. Her body, almost animal-like, is ready to attack. And then Bathsheba jumps, brutally attacking Andrea. In the end, the family runs into the room to see what's happening, but the demon is already gone. The Crooked Man. You know those children's rhymes that sound harmless, but when repeated in the dark, they feel sinister? That's exactly what makes the Crooked Man scene in The Conjuring 2 so disturbing. It's night. The Hodgson family, already tormented by the haunting in their home, decides to stay at the neighbor's house for safety. Everyone is asleep in the living room, exhausted. The silence is broken only by the faint sound of a bell. Billy, the little boy, wakes up from the noise. He notices the neighbor's dog standing by the door waiting to go outside. A simple gesture, an ordinary moment, but nothing in The Conjuring is ever truly innocent. Billy opens the door. For a few seconds, everything looks normal, until the dog begins to transform before the boy's eyes. Bones snap, the body twists, its legs stretch grotesquely. The creature changes shape. It's no longer an animal, and it's the Crooked Man.
There was the Crooked Man. And he walks a crooked mile.
Tall, thin, with absurdly long arms and legs, dressed in a striped pink suit and a stylish hat. His appearance doesn't radiate charm. It radiates pure unease, like something is deeply wrong with him. He rises with broken movements, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, almost like his body is a puppet. And then the rhyme begins.
The Crooked Man stepped forth. soul spiraled into a crooked hell.
Every word sends shivers down your spine. It's like the nursery rhyme has been corrupted by something evil. Billy panics. He runs back into the living room, trying to wake the others, but the evil has already entered the house. Janet, his sister, stands up, but she's no longer Janet. Her voice comes out deep, demonic, speaking words with a terrifying tone. The room goes wild. Furniture moves on its own, glass shatters, objects fly through the air. Chaos takes over. Janet collapses on the floor, convulsing, foam spilling from her mouth, while the family watches helplessly as the supernatural attack unfolds. The Crooked Man may have started as a rhyme, but in this scene, he becomes something much darker. In fact, he was supposed to get a solo movie, but it got canceled. The Well. Can you imagine holding in your hands the very object that carries all the evil of a house? That's the suffocating feeling we get following Linda in one of the scariest scenes of Annabelle, Creation. It's nighttime. The old house, now full of children, is wrapped in an atmosphere of dread. The silence doesn't feel peaceful, it feels dangerous. Something is lurking. Linda, one of the girls, decides she can't stand the doll's presence anymore. She knows Annabelle is the key to all this terror. With courage mixed with desperation, she grabs the doll and heads to the old abandoned well on the property. When Linda reaches the well, Sister Charlotte appears, asking what she's doing. Linda, with tears in her eyes and a trembling voice, says the only truth possible. She needs to end this. She has to throw Annabelle into that endless pit, hoping the evil will stay trapped down there forever. With a quick motion, Linda lets go of the doll. Annabelle falls into the darkness until she disappears. For a moment, it feels like it's finally over, but we already know it's not that simple. From deep inside the well, something seems to call the girl. She leans closer. Suddenly, pale, deformed hands shoot up from the darkness and grab Linda. She's yanked violently, nearly falling into the abyss. Panic takes over. Linda screams and struggles not to be dragged down. That's when Sister Charlotte reacts, and she grabs Linda tightly. The fight between good and evil happens right there in seconds, on the edge of the well. Evil trying to pull the girl into darkness, and the sister using every bit of strength to hold her back. With one final effort, Charlotte pulls Linda out and slams the well shut. The lid shakes, rattles, as if something is still trying to escape from below. And they do exactly what I would have done in that situation. Hide and seek. Carolyn, woken up by strange sounds coming from around the house, feels that something is wrong. The basement door opens by itself, almost like the house is inviting her to step inside. Hesitant, she approaches, but before she can react, the door slams shut, trapping her down there. Fear takes over. She tries to open it, but it's locked. She screams for help, but her voice only echoes, swallowed by absolute silence. The darkness is total. A single hanging light bulb is the only source of light, and to her horror, it suddenly burns out. Desperate, Carolyn looks for matches. Her hands tremble, her heart races. A match flares briefly, but the safety lasts only seconds. The silence is broken by a child's voice. A cold, sinister whisper echoes.
Hey, wanna play hide and clap?
Suddenly, two invisible hands appear next to her head and clap. The sound slices through the air, the match goes out. She's surrounded once again by complete darkness. Panic consumes her. This sequence shows terror in a simple, brutal way. No flashy special effects, just the feeling that something invisible is hunting Carolyn. It's one of the scariest scenes in the entire franchise, because the horror doesn't just come from what you see, but from what your mind imagines might be hiding in the shadows. But it still doesn't top our next scene. Carolyn's exorcism. Carolyn Perron, possessed by the demonic entity Bathsheba, kidnaps her two youngest daughters, Christine and April, and drags them back to the house. The terror reaches its peak. Ed and Lorraine Warren arrive with Officer Brad Hamilton and find Carolyn completely out of control. The air is heavy, filled with a dark, invisible presence. Carolyn twists unnaturally, makes strange sounds, and her voice, deep and threatening, makes it clear that Bathsheba has no intention of leaving. With no official authorization from the church, Ed decides to act. He begins an improvised exorcism. Prayers and invocations echo through the basement. Lorraine tries to reach Carolyn, reminding her of who she really is, hoping to create a crack in the possession. But the entity fights back. Carolyn is dragged by invisible forces, her body twisting in impossible ways, while objects around the room start to move. One of the most chilling moments comes when she begins to levitate in the chair. She defies the Warrens, doing everything she can to keep the exorcism from being completed. At the breaking point, Lorraine recalls a memory of Carolyn with her daughters, a gesture of love, a mother's affection. She shares it, appealing to Carolyn's humanity. For a moment, the possession weakens. Carolyn regains control of her body just enough for Ed to finish the ritual. With final words of strength and faith, Ed pronounces the exorcism, condemning Bathsheba back to hell. The Nun's End. The mood in The Nun is dark from the very beginning, but nothing compares to the final confrontation in the Abbey's catacombs. Sister Irene, along with Father Burke and Frenchie, descends into the place where Valak was first summoned. There, a rift to hell remains open. Emanating pure evil, Valak appears menacing. The demon wants to destroy Irene, and the tension builds with every second. In a brutal moment, Valak submerges her into a chamber filled with water. Irene struggles to breathe, trapped in the demon's grip. The desperation is suffocating. Every move is a fight for her life, every breath a temporary victory against evil. Even surrounded by terror, Irene holds on to her faith. She remembers the small vial of Christ's blood she still carries, once used to banish Valak. In a desperate act, she spits the blood into the demon's face. The effect is immediate. Valak screams, the hell rift begins to close, and the evil is contained for now. The battle is brutal. Irene is not only fighting the demonic presence, but also the fear of losing those she loves, and of losing her own life. The scene also reveals an important detail about Frenchie. His real name is Morris, and during Valak's attack, he had been possessed by the demon. When Valak is finally banished, the tension doesn't vanish right away. The air is still heavy, a reminder that evil could always return. Which of these scenes from the video did you find the scariest? Leave it in the comments. And by the way, on the screen right now is a video where we tell the full story of Valak. That's right, she comes back. Click and watch. I'll see you there.